In our first story, President Akufo-Addo has asked the new Inspector General of Police to pursue a new vision for a professional police service where acts of violence and intimidation are abhorred. The president made the call when he introduced COP David Asante-Apeatu as the new IGP earlier Wednesday at the Flagstaff House in Accra. Knowledgeable and diligent in service, the new IGP is also fluent in French, a quality the president found most heartwarming.
The person that I have chosen to fill the office of Inspector General of Police is a very senior police officer with a very, very varied history and experience in the police service of our country. He began his higher education in the then Soviet Union, Kharkov. So he's a fluent Russian speaker. I don't know how many of our IGPs have been fluent Russian speakers, but our new one is a fluent Russian speaker. And this appointment of this highly qualified police official is the first step that I'm taking in that regard. I think that our people will feel secure when they know that they have a police service that is honest and that will enforce the laws of the country so that the people of our country can go about their lawful duties in peace and security. They will not be subject to unnecessary harassment, and they will be protected against wrongdoers. That's the purpose, and that is the goal of any decent, efficient police service. And so, Commissioner of Police David Asante-Apeatu is the person that I am through you to the people of Ghana and to the Council of State that is in the process of being constituted, I'm introducing as the person to act as IGP until the constitutional processes are complete. I want to be the first to congratulate Commissioner of Police on your new undertaking. And may God be with you.
Thank you.
And that you do your best for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your indulgence and presence here. Thank you, sir.
Well, the president explained Mr. Asante-Apeatu will work in an acting capacity until a Council of State is put in place.
Exercised the power that the Constitution has given me to appoint a new Inspector General of Police. Unfortunately, because of the system that we have, the constitutional processes for validating and confirming the appointment cannot be complete because I am required to consult the Council of State before making the appointment complete. The Council of State, as you know, is in the process of being reconstituted. So as things stand now, there is no Council of State with which I can consult. But I can make an appointment for somebody to act pending the consultation with the Council of State. And that is what I have done. That's why I have requested you kindly to come here this afternoon.
Now, the acting IGP, David Asante-Apeatu's rise to the top spot in the police service does not come as a surprise to many who believe that his long years in the service have earned him the position. Until his appointment, he was the Director General, Research Planning at the Ghana Police Service. But who is the man David Asante-Apeatu?
I have been in the Soviet Union for 6 years, since 1979, learning chemistry. And then on my return to Ghana, I joined the Ghana Police Service as a forensic analyst. I was doing ballistics and drug analysis at the forensic laboratory. Over time, I was moved from the forensic lab after about 11 years. It was a very sad day. And I will tell you why I was taken away in the course of the transformation, because I also formed part of the transformation.
The IGP is appointed by the President in consultation with the Council of State. The IGP, as many know, heads the police service, is responsible for the operational control and the administration of the service. He becomes a member of the Police Council and is usually the rank of commissioner. So COP David Asante-Apeatu comes to the job with over 2 decades of experience, though he's yet to be confirmed. He has held varied positions in the service as Director General ICT, Director General Research and Planning, Director General CID. He became well known when he led Ghana's team to investigate the circumstances leading to the killing of more than 44 Ghanaians in the Gambia. He is also well known as lead investigator for the serial killings of some 34 women in Accra in the late 90s, for which Charles Kwanzaa was convicted. However, after 2004, there were killings of some Ghanaians, including former GCB Deputy MD Roko Frimpong, which led late President Mills to suggest that these killings were contract killings, which he was charged to investigate. In 2006, COP Asante-Apeatu reconstituted a unit to reopen all murder cases that had gone cold. In 2007, he worked at the International Police Organization Interpol, based in France, as director of the Specialized Crime and Analysis Unit. He holds an MPhil in chemistry and started his policing career at the Police Forensic Laboratory. He's a fluent speaker of Russian, French, and English.
The forensic lab to the mainstream policing, that is the Criminal Investigations Department. And whilst I was there, I rose up to the rank of the head of the Criminal Investigations Department. It means that my career is deeply rooted in the Ghana Police Service. Several investigations, some of them took me to Spain, the USA, Senegal, Gambia, and then also I became the director for Specialized Crime and Analysis in Lyon, that is Interpol. And not until I went to Interpol did I appreciate that those successes like arresting a serious criminal in Ghana and sending him outside, those mechanisms that were needed in that international level to make these successes were a norm and not an exception.
Well, the announcement of a new acting IGP was preceded by news that the immediate past IGP, John Kudal, who stepped down after attaining the retirement age of 60, Mr. Kudal called on President Akufo-Addo to bid him farewell at the Flagstaff House Wednesday afternoon. He expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the 2016 elections, which he described as peaceful and successful.
I think it's a great honor to give this opportunity to see His Excellency accorded these very kind and candid words. As the saying goes, before there's an entrance, there's an exit. And honestly, I think I've served my nation to the best of my ability, and then I'm ready to serve it in any capacity that the Excellency may be fit. I think everything that we are doing here, to me, it's a very, very good fit because everything is quite candid and it's a professional, it's legal and lawful. So I'm very, very grateful. I thank the government of the president, the goodwill of this country, my senior police officers who worked with me, my junior staff for the cooperation I enjoyed with them, and most of all, the success that we achieved during the elections. And again, for the cooperation that I've had so far with His Excellency, the new government, and I'm sure that whoever will take up from me will be properly briefed to take up the mantle and to sustain the tempo. Because you agree with me that before the elections, the percentage of police was very low. Now put it about 42%. But after the elections, and also after what we have done so far, and we are still on top of the job, I think we shall raise up to about 70%. Of course, we don't have to get 100% to get an A. I think the police is now rated as an A institution. And I will be behind the scenes to support whoever will come to ensure that the peace of this country is sustained in any capacity and ready to serve the nation.
President Akufo-Addo thanked him for his service to the nation and particularly commended Mr. Kudal for acting to halt the takeovers of state institutions by some MPP supporters. It will be recalled that after the December elections, some MPP foot soldiers across the country engaged in violent takeovers of some state installations, a situation the president was criticized for, not calling the rampaging youth to order.
So, IGP, so there is that's something that I left out, of course, was the contribution you made to ensuring the peace of the nation over our last elections. And the Ghanaian people are very, very grateful for that. It has done so much to raise the image of our nation, the peace and the cohesion that the nation exhibited during that exercise. And afterwards, I remember when these incidents occurred after the elections, or these takeovers or whatever you want. I remember telling you that I felt that yes, the proper thing is act. Lawbreakers are lawbreakers, whether they are clad in the red, white, and blue of MPP or the black, green, and gold of the NDC. And I believe you responded very firmly and rapidly to that. And now the situation is being brought under control. But I think that is what we should have in this country. A professional police service that works according to the laws of Ghana, not according to the wishes of any particular government. And the example you gave at the end of that is something that also people will remember well. So once again, let me thank you for your service to our nation and wish you the very best of luck in the future. All right.
Now, head of our security desk, Jifa Bampo, joins me in the studio now to assess the legacy that Mr. Kudal leaves behind. Jifa, Mr. Kudal took over from Mohammed Al-Hassan, who's been credited with increasing the visibility of police personnel on our streets. What do you think that Mr. Kudal would be most remembered for?
I think he presided over and guided smooth security operations and management for the December 2016 elections. Threats of hotspots, potential security breaches, and the threats that were posed by political party vigilante groups, all the management of all that are to his credit, especially as we saw a smooth process from the electioneering period right up until the voting process. The other thing that he also did was a very good open door policy with both the media, the political parties, and the civil society groups. He engaged directly with many of these groups, and he sought to respond as quickly as possible anytime there were any issues. And maybe that's also because that was during an election year. But the fact that he reached out to many of these people is a big feather in his cap. And I can also say that he brought closure to the police recruitment scandal You know that there were 2 investigations going on. There was the police service inquiry. We understand that has finally come to an end, and some decisions have been taken that it's now seeing the exit of Mr. Patrick Timbila, whilst the final report was sent to the Attorney General's Department. So we're still waiting to see what the Attorney General's Department will do in respect of those who've been charged or accused as to whether they'll be prosecuted or not.
But there were some downsides to his tenure.
Yes.
I remember the social media gaffe, if I can call it that.
Okay, so that's a good, an interesting one, a good one that many people will not be forgetting Mr. Kudal for in a hurry. Yes, he was opposed to us keeping social media active during the elections, and this was because he was afraid that people would use it as an avenue to perpetuate you know, acts of violence or security breaches. But that didn't happen. Once the political authorities decided that social media would not be shut down, nothing happened. The other thing was slow response of the Ghana Police Service to deal with compensation packages for people who'd suffered from police brutality, people who'd been shot by accident or who'd actually been brutalized by police officers. A lot of people complain that even though they petitioned, they've had to go to court directly to get their compensation and the like. The response to that has been slow, even though some cases the police did look after some of the victims, but it's much less than what the people expected. Okay,
Tifa, hold on for a minute. I understand Mr. Kudal has been speaking about his legacy. Let's take a listen and return to the conversation.
Oh, I think I've left behind a very trustworthy police force, because you all remember that we were lowest when I took over. I think a very professional, vibrant, and very committed police force. And I'm happy to be associated with such a police force, and everything is there for you to see.
Will you be willing to assist the incoming IGP in any way?
Of course, to be selfish on my part. I'm still a Ghanaian, a very patriotic citizen, and I'll do everything possible to assist whoever takes over from me.
So that was Mr. Kudal talking about what he believes his legacy would be. But Jifa, finally, what would you say the incoming IGP would have to do to, if you like, increase the level of public confidence in the police service?
Well, if you could deal with these incidences where people suffer from police brutalities, that would be good. That means engaging better with the public when they have complaints. There's the Professional Police Standards Bureau, PIPS, but there's the criticism that they tend to be very, very slow to respond, or sometimes, unless you take your issue to the media before they actually take action on your issue. That's an area he'll have to look at. Also, the professionalism of the police, so that they are not deemed to be serving any partisan interests. Because there's always this perception that when there's a new government, that there are new people who may be brought on board, who may be favorites of the new administration. I think what is important is to show that the IGP will be willing to act in a manner that is fair, that is firm, and not one that is guided by partisan interests. So that's a challenge he'll have to overcome. And then I think the final thing is enforcing the rule of law without any qualms, because you and I know that a lot of the time people feel that unless you are nobody, people who are somebody or who are prominent in the society get away with things. So enforcing the rule of law.
That'll be dependent if he gets the support from, you know, the powers that be. Because oftentimes, I mean, the claim has been that
that there's a political interference in the process. So he'll have to be firm about that, and of course ensure that the citizenry gets the kind of security that they need. I know that members of parliament, this issue about security for MPs came up recently with the Interior Minister. Ultimately, you have to provide security for all the citizens before you can be worrying about a certain or particular group of people. So I think those are the challenges he has ahead.
All right, many thanks. And that's head of our security desk, Jifa Bampo there. But we're taking a short break now, and still ahead, 2 policemen injured severely after an attack by residents of Sakade in the Volta region. Details coming up. You're welcome back. Now, the Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, has appealed to newly appointed acting IGP David Asante-Apeatu to take immediate steps to compensate a 19-year-old boy in his constituency who was shot last month by police in an effort to disperse demonstrators. Ganiru Abdul was caught up in a shooting incident during clashes between Dalun youth and police. Mr. Mubarak raised the issue on the floor of Parliament yesterday, and the Speaker has referred it to the Select Committee on Interior and Defense for investigations. Mr. Mubarak says he is reaching out to the new IGP on the issue to ensure he prioritizes it.
Well, I sought to bring attention to the issue of the police using live ammunition in riot control situations. There are some school of thoughts that the police administration could consider the use of rubber bullets, water cannon, and so on and so forth in riot control. And for me, one of the key things was also how we can get justice for the young man. He's 19 years, he's currently in school. The police is dragging, the police administration are dragging their feet in terms of picking up his medical bills and compensation. But also, Kumbungu constituency is not the only place that has happened before, and we ought to be looking at ways that we can, prevent the incidents of these things reoccurring. I'm also hoping that findings of the report can be made public, so that not just the police administration but all of us can learn lessons from what may have happened.
So that beyond delivering the statement on the floor of the House, the issue has been referred to the Committee on Interior and Defense for further investigation. Is there anything you are doing to ensure this gentleman gets justice? You, for example, insisting that his medical bill should be taken care of and all of that.
Well, there's going to be a lot of follow-ups on my part. Interestingly, I did speak with the IGP who got moved, so I would take steps to link up with the new incoming IGP. I haven't heard the announcement yet, so I don't know who is going to be, but hopefully we'll take it up with the police administration and see that not just justice is done, but it's done speedily.
Let's stay in Parliament because the issue of the legality or otherwise of President Akufo-Addo's decision to send troops to Gambia as part of an ECOWAS force without parliamentary approval is refusing to go away. Wednesday in Parliament, minority MPs questioned the legal authority of the President to send 205 troops to Gambia without prior approval from the House. Meanwhile, Defense Minister-designate Dominic Nitiwul says the Ghanaian troops would not come back home anytime soon until the situation in Gambia stabilizes. Here are some MPs speaking on the floor of Parliament in support of the intervention.
Well, that submission was not founded on any law. First of all, Article 75 of our Constitution makes it clear.
Whilst we commend the ECOWAS for the multi-pronged approach that they used, both diplomacy and some pressure through the force of arms, I wish to state that Gambia is a very small country, and the strategies used for Gambia need to be refined in order to tackle bigger states in the future.
The democratic and political developments in Gambia is a perfect example of a curious jumble of paradoxes and contradictions, particularly relative to Ghana, where open and democratic elections have been conducted, transitions of power done in respect of the law and the Constitution of Ghana. But in respect of Gambia, the opposite.
In contributing to the statement, I want to put on record that what happened in the Gambia internationally does not paint a good picture about our sub-region and our continent as a whole.
I'd like to associate myself with a fantastic statement by Honorable Afenyo Make Indeed, it's extremely exciting that at this time we have a president, His Excellency Ado Dankwa, who has demonstrated great leadership and took a decision to allow the former president, John Dramani Mahama, to continue with those discussions on the ECOWAS, on the Gambia situation. We are extremely excited, and we know that His Excellency will continue to demonstrate such great leadership and will make sure that Ghana works again.
MP for Tamale Central, Inusuf Hussaini, says the foreign or defense ministers must appear before the House to rectify the wrong when they are confirmed.
I think that basically the President, through the Minister for Defense or the Minister for Foreign Affairs, ought to have informed Parliament that the President is going to commit the troops of Ghana to a peacekeeping potential conflict situation in the Gambia. But there's no foreign minister, there is no Minister for Defense. The President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. There was a situation that required that the President take action. And so I think that the President taking action can be put under the doctrine of necessity. That was necessary that the President be seen to be responding positively to the request for the contribution of troops, particularly from Ghana, as we had established a democratic credentials of transferring power from one government to another. And then we have the credibility within the West Africa sub-region of this democratic transition. So it was important that Ghana contribute troops. But not having the Minister of Foreign Affairs in place or not having the Defense Minister in place, the President had to take action, and then he took the action.
So that's what are your expectations going forward?
I think that what they will do subsequently, what I expect the ministers, either of the ministers to do, is to come to Parliament subsequently and present a report of the situation in Gambia and how that situation was dealt with.
Well, Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gapo has been speaking to the MP for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, who raised the matter on the floor of Parliament.
Well, that submission was not founded on any law. First of all, Article 75 of our Constitution makes it clear that all international treaties must be by a parliamentary resolution ratified or through an enactment. The resolution on mechanism for peacekeeping and management of conflict was ratified by this House on the 24th of January 2005 after same had been executed by former President Rawlings on the 10th of December 1999. So it's a matter of law. We have the law behind us, with us, supporting our actions. We don't need to come to Parliament again because that resolution, as ratified, is part of our domestic laws.
We're taking a short break. Don't go away. We have business news coming up. You're welcome back. Now, the family of a 22-year-old taxi driver lynched at Saaba in Kumasi for knocking down a pedestrian is demanding justice after victim of the accident was treated and discharged for minor injuries. Audu Ibrahim was dragged out of a gas station where he sought refuge after the accident and beaten to pulp. A graphic video of the deceased being beaten with sticks has attracted angry reaction after it went viral on social media. The mother of the deceased is calling for justice.
This video, which has gone viral, has attracted anger and condemnation from the Saaba community. The deceased, affectionately called Bebrebe, knocked a motor rider with his taxi cab. The victim sustained bruises to the arm and head and was treated and discharged same day at the Menchia Government Hospital. But an angry mob chased him from the accident scene, dragged him out of the premises of a gas station where he sought refuge few meters away and subjected him to severe bodily harm. 2 people were arrested but were released after police say investigations failed to link them to the incident. Police say 4 men identified in the video are currently at large. Mother of the deceased, Alimatu Sadia, is demanding justice.
Maduru one di na kwa doctor dada nti eduru doctor no kura no me frɛ no kura wanti me kase bio onu na wo nu aro ti amafo hwɛ me o di de o mo baka me ni abofo kola do a na ebo me kakra me nye bi di ti me sra mo amafo de esi ya bebe yi ana wo mu hunu ye no di asampa na o baka kyerɛ me amafo na misre wo mo hwɛ na wo mo nka me ni abofo kura me ni abofo
na omo so ye omo den na omo ye nsa
me a say wo mo kate akwala no di ka ni sonkonsuo ka ana onu nso se wanye kuromfo a kyese wo baba akwakwo kuromfo onu nti ana omo hye no bu no a onu nti na mintimi hu
omo so di ka bo moto
ka no a wadi mbo moto wura ni na di na kyir ka kyerɛ ne sɛ sonkonsuo ka ana onu nso se ka sɛ wadi moto no babo no na wadi moto no wa fambo no kura na nipa no huriye ana wokoto ogota mu na ni tira ajuri ani ni kotoju onu nko anti na onu di akumi ba
ese mabo police fo amane
ni na sabni ni na o police fo amane mampomfo police fo to mu chi nipa mienu ana moto kia fo no kacha wo mu baba pata nti ya je wo mu akọ ebia ya nche obia bio nipa ni na adwane
na omo.
Now, 2 policemen have sustained severe injuries as they were attacked by some residents of Sakade in the Volta region when the police sought to intervene in an altercation between the people of the area and herdsmen. Correspondent Hubert Mali Yevuagbi joins me via Skype with details. Hello, Hubert, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Hubert. If you can hear me, Hubert, what led to the altercation? I believe we have some challenges reaching Hubert, but we will get back to that story. You're still watching Joy News Prime here. On to other stories. And the Northern Regional Chairman of the governing New Patriotic Party, Daniel Bugri Nabu, has hinted at giving a vehicle given to him by former President John Mahama, allegedly as a bribe to charity. He spoke to Elton Brobe on Tuesday at the Flagstaff House.
One quick question. I know this one borders on you personally. I don't know whether you returned the car donation that the president alleged to have given before the election. Have you returned the car?
I cannot comment much, but I think that we'll give it to charity. We are not ready for that car to use.
All right. Mr. Buginabu, thank you very much.
So let's return to our earlier story where 2 policemen have sustained severe injuries as they were attacked by some residents of Sakade in the Volta region when the police sought to intervene in an altercation between the people of the area and herdsmen there. Correspondent Hubert Mali Yevuagbi joins us on the line. Good evening to you, Hubert.
Yes, Sarah.
So tell us, what led to the altercation?
Yaraba, the police were responding to a distress call by herdsmen who have been chased by the people of the area after the death of a farmer who was killed in his farm, and the residents suspected that he might have been killed by the herdsmen in his farm. And so the residents had to chase herdsmen in the bush, and they left their cattle behind. And the police were responding to the herdsmen distress call for protection. The police went there to see exactly what happened, including some of the cattle being killed by the people who were responding to the death of one of their own in his farm at Sakade. And so in the course of that, they broke house with the policemen, and in the course of that altercation, stabbed one in the stomach, cut one in the head, and the rest of the policemen had to call for reinforcement. And as we speak, 3 guns of the police are yet to be retrieved by the police. A few minutes ago, I'm told that 2 of those guns have been, 2 of those rifles have been retrieved by the police, left with 1 to still get from the ground at Sakade. And this has been a building tension over the period since Friday, when one Tachi Koku got killed in his farm on Friday.
All right, many thanks for that update, Mauli Yevu Agbi there. Now, 1 person sustained gunshot wounds and cars were vandalized as clashes between 2 feuding factions loyal to the Gamanche, Ni Ataki Adama Lache II and the acting president of the Ghana Traditional Council escalated Tuesday. A ceremony to induct the Gamanche as the president of the Ghana Traditional Council did not happen, as one of the factions vowed to prevent the Gamanche from accessing the palace. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba was at the palace and now reports.
Palace, we are right across the road where the Gamanche Palace is located. Well, for today, there isn't much happening here at this palace. Yesterday, there was an induction. There was a planned induction that was supposed to take place, but that could not happen because we were told then by the police hierarchy that was stationed here that there was a meeting that was going to take place between the aggrieved factions and then the Inspector General of Police. As it stands right now, we still do not know the outcome of that particular meeting. Yesterday when we were here, all was calm with a lot of police presence with their patrol vehicles also strategically, positioned outside the main palace. They were not given access into the palace by one of the factions of the youth group. But today all has changed because yesterday there were some gunshots, there were some reported gunshots, and in fact today when we spoke to the head of public affairs unit of the Greater Accra Ghana Police Service, she confirmed that yes, there were some gunshots from this palace yesterday. Some vehicles were also vandalized in the process yesterday when the violence happened. We are told today that the police hierarchy, the Greater Accra Regional Police Command, is meeting with one of the factions. In this case, we are talking about the acting president of the Ghana Traditional Council, Ni Dodu Insaki II. We understand that meeting will be happening today. But right now, when you come to the Gamanche Palace, the other faction that took over the palace yesterday, they are not there at the moment. So there's nobody in the palace. The only people present there right now are police officers. There are 2 patrol vehicles stationed inside the main palace itself. We have 2 police vehicles stationed inside. The police officers who are inside are armed. Now, the difference between what we saw when we came here on Monday and then Tuesday was that the police officers were stationed outside. They were not inside the palace because one of the factions had taken over the palace, and are saying that they would not allow the other faction to come in to perform the ceremony, that's the induction ceremony, to have the current Gamanche, Ni Adama Lache II, as the president of the Ghana Traditional Council. Now that the situation has changed now after the reported gunshots yesterday and the vandalization of some properties, some vehicles, 2 vehicles we are told. They've been towed to the Kaneshi police station.
Well, the Greater Accra Regional Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Efiatinge, says some police personnel have been deployed to the palace to protect lives and property. A meeting with the acting president of the Ghana Traditional Council is also expected to take place.
Yes, regarding what happened yesterday, the police have taken over the security of the Gamanche Palace, and also the regional command will also be meeting the Ghana Traditional Council, specifically the acting Ghana Traditional President. And we hope that after our meeting, we should have a headway and also find out what really resulted in the clash yesterday. Meanwhile, 2 people also suffered minor degrees of injuries, and police have also begun investigations into what happened. Then also there were 2 vehicles that were also vandalized in the process. So all these things, especially the vehicles, have been conveyed to the police station, and we have begun investigations into the clashes yesterday.
Now, information available to Joy News indicates that President Akufo-Addo is probing his ministerial nominee for the Tourism and Creative Arts Ministry, Asante-Apeatu. The nominee and her husband, Seth Apeatu, lost a case in an Accra High Court brought against them by an American couple. Madame Apeatu's integrity came into question by the court, which asked the couple to pay back some money and return some assets. Manasseh Zuriawini has more.
On November 30th, 2007, an Accra High Court presided by Justice Barbara Akayesu ruled against Asante-Apeatu and her husband, Seth Apeatu, in a breach of contract case brought against them by an American couple, Bill Jake and Patricia Jake. The American couple said Asante-Apeatu and her husband had defrauded them to the tune of $217,000 and a Mitsubishi saloon car. The amount in question is said to be the cost of computers and other gadgets, as well as cash given to Mrs. Apeatu and her husband to set up an internet cafe business in Ghana. The court subsequently ordered Mr. and Mrs. Apeatu to pay the amount with interest, which they have started doing. When Asante-Apeatu declared her intention to contest the Evaluate-Jomoro-Dura constituency of the Western Region in 2008, some persons petitioned the MPP's National Executive to disqualify her because of the court judgment against her. The Legal and Constitutional Committee of the MPP, chaired by the late Peter Alajeta, however, cleared her to contest the seat. Justice Barbara Akayesu said in the ruling that Asante-Apeatu had lied to the court and she could have charged her for perjury. The MPP committee's report, a copy of which is available to Joy News, indicates that the MPP constitution required that candidates should be of good character. Portions of the judgment quoted by the committee showed that Asante-Apeatu fell short of that requirement. The committee, however, concluded that falling short of honesty and integrity on one occasion could not be taken to mean that was the character of Asante-Apeatu. She was cleared and she went ahead to win the Evaluate-Jomoro-Dura seat in 2008. She lost the seat in 2012 and reclaimed it last year. In 2013, Asante-Apeatu and her husband went back to court to challenge the 2007 verdict against them. According to Catherine and Seth Apeatu, the son of the American couple had confessed in a video recording that there was a collaboration to concoct evidence against the Apeatus. Joy News sources in government say gender and regional balance were part of the considerations for her nomination as Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister.
The next nominee on the list is one of the dynamic women in our party. She's a well-known figure, very eloquent, with a great deal of charisma and personality. We want her to spearhead an area of our national life that, in my view, we have not taken sufficiently seriously, but which provides tremendous opportunities for job creation and for big revenues to our national accounts, to develop a really solid infrastructure for the tourist industry in our country. If it succeeds, it will be one of the transformational elements in the overall process of national transformation. I think for that to happen, you need somebody who is going to approach the job single-mindedly, and who will have the personality to be able to appeal and talk to the stakeholders in this very complex industry. In our party, so many talents, but I think a lot of people will agree with me that Catherine Ifeku is somebody who can do such a job very well. So she's the person that I'm nominating to the House. She's currently the MP for Evaluate Ajumoro Jura.
Now, multi-TV officials and police are on a nationwide crackdown on people who pose as accredited dealers to sell fake decoders to the public. In an operation in Kumasi, a number of unaccredited dealers were cautioned for illegally branding their shops with multi-TV logos. Bessie Drebra again has more.
It follows public complaints about presence of imitated versions of the strong brand of multi-TV digit boxes on the market. The illegal practice is in defiance of an earlier trade alert. Subsequently, Strong Digital Technologies, so accredited distributors of strong decoders in Ghana, informed police.
Because in Pacono Oba, Nigerians say, Obusebu or Kwanwa, in Pacono say, your tone and just 1.5 means and your original. I am multi-TV for decoder. And I'm for Kofaba. Into we are Cassa and Meno Cassa is here, Jack India. Usi from Cia. Urobos will see from 191 robots, decoded, fake decoded, the Bria man for air tone. Everybody, Edina, Tony decoder, and Miss Nosono, and ye decoder, no, I'm a Nipper bar, any other Koha, so on your friend Kennedy. Mrs. Kennedy, multi-TV decoder.
The papa, because a chassis no Nippon or brand or the buyer camera, any support brand of you. All of a sudden, all day, only Dina Boho, you are Ubisu also, and yet I didn't original now, Tomano. At the go and the home cry said, "Oh, the baby, Benny Crana, and I credited no, and never Pangas. So what my shacha no, 6 months, 3 months. And then the papa, minimum parts particularly they say, Sunny Edwipa will be our Bunto multi-TV, that's all the multi-TV, Yabana boy, I remember margin, they can you side crime free man, that's what you ban on every war. Now I on accredited one. Now, photos on the public and say, I did our to use forever and I'll be aware 1 year and 2 years at the end. To are they accredited? Ubusa Ukabusa, the NCA, I certify a good home. Ubusa the Pacona, so the NCA certify will be Yama, when you be a one who say, I don't know what the papa.
President Nana Akufo-Addo is asking the ambassador to Saudi Arabia to ensure that the friendly relationship between the two countries reflects in how Ghanaian citizens are treated in that country. The Ghanaian leader is not happy with the way citizens of his country are treated in the Gulf state. President Akufo-Addo expressed the concern when the head of the Saudi Arabia mission in Ghana paid a courtesy call on him at the Flagstaff House in Accra.
Diplomatic relations between the two countries is high, but same cannot be said about treatment meted out to Ghanaians when they go to Saudi Arabia. In 2015, a 21-year-old lady named only as Amina was gang raped and deported to Ghana by the Saudis when she had only gone for greener pastures. It added to the tall list of domestic abuse many Ghanaians have suffered in the hands of Saudi authorities. An interministerial task force made up of officials of the Foreign Affairs, Interior, Labor and Employment Ministries was constituted in 2016 and tasked to investigate the causes of the dehumanizing treatment meted out to Ghanaians when they travel to the Gulf states. President Akufo-Addo told Saudi Arabian Ambassador Hisham Michel Al-Suwailam they will begin to walk the talk on diplomacy between the two countries.
And I'm sorry to have to bring it up on such an occasion. Still some stories about the way some of our nationals are treated in Saudi Arabia. I think it's important that one draws the attention of the authorities to it, to make sure that as much as possible, whether those who are there seeking work or those who come for the annual pilgrimages, that the very friendly relations between our two nations is reflected in the way in which our people are also treated. But we are counting a lot on growing the relationship with Saudi Arabia because we're very much interested in growing our relations with the entire Gulf region of the Middle East, and we know that the key to the Gulf regions, a lot of the key lies in Riyadh. You have to pass through Riyadh to get to the rest of the Gulf.
Also to bid goodbye after a 5-year stay in Ghana was the Brazilian ambassador, Irene Vida Gala. The president wished her well but appealed to her to fast-track existing agreements between Ghana and Brazil on the development of a sickle cell center at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital and ongoing road projects.
There's one thing that I'd like you to take with you back to Brasilia, and that is the matter of the sickle cell project at Komfanochi. All the various papers have been signed, but really there's been no movement on the ground on it. I think that is one thing that we intend to take up very quickly.
The outgoing Brazilian ambassador, Vida Gala, promised to champion the interest of Ghana in her home country.
I'm sure it's always going to be a pleasure to be here, and I'm sure that you and your government will continue strengthening relations, and maybe I'll continue in foreign affairs in Brazil, and maybe I'll see you there, because I think the next stage for us is to renovate the high-level diplomacy. Last time
We're taking a short break now. We'll be back with entertainment news. Don't go away.